What's up, guys? This is Alex Van Houten with Definingdadbod. I hope you're doing well. I am here with a fantastic individual I can't wait for you to hear from, Mr. Craig Nieset from Team Nieset. Now, Craig's been on the show before. He and his wife were sweet enough to come onto the show and talk to us about their busy schedules and working working their workout program into 4 kids. How about that? That's probably way more accurate. But anyway, that being said, you can connect with Craig on Instagram and Facebook. You can connect with him on Instagram at coach._Craig. That's COACH._Craig, CRAIG. And on Facebook at Craig Nieset. Craig, how you doing today, brother?
Doing great. The sun's shining. It's an amazing day out.
Yeah, it is. And you have a very unique perspective on that for the reason I actually wanted to bring you onto the show. Now, I don't want to tell your story for you, but for the listeners here, since Craig came onto the show with his wife, Jen, from Team Nieset to talk to us about fitting their workout program in with a busy family schedule, Craig was actually diagnosed with prostate cancer. And this man, from the outside looking in, this man has dealt with that diagnosis like an absolute saint and champ. And I wanted to bring you on, brother, and talk to you about your journey with that. I wanted to talk to you about how things are now, because I know we're in a good spot now, as I understand it, but I know there's still a lot to deal with in the relatively near future. And you've got a message for guys that you want to get out there. So I want to dive into that. I guess first, what happened, man? Like I talked to you and your wife were talking about running and she had just trained for the Boston Marathon and we were talking about the Beachbody program and stuff. And then you got some rough news, brother. Tell me about it.
Well, I'm trying to remember when we interviewed with you last. Was it before or after Boston? Do you remember?
It was just after. It was just after. It was like 2 weeks after, maybe.
Okay, so that's kind of when some male things started happening, and decided to make that doctor appointment, which I do normally every year since I was 40, and decided to go in, and that was always something that they did for the blood test. They did my cholesterol and they did my PSA at the same time. It's just another vial of blood they draw, send it to the lab. I've been doing that for 6 years, so now this was my 7th. So we went in and got that done and came back, and that number had risen quite a bit. That number is a number that you look at over the years as it, you want it to stay consistent at a low number, low being, 1 in the ones. And it jumped up to 6.5 from a 2.1 the year before. So right there's the red flag. We knew something was happening. And from that point, you've got other decisions you have to make on, how you want to, see if that PSA number is telling you that you do have cancer or you don't. Just because you have a high PSA number doesn't mean you have cancer. Let's get that out there. But there's always that possibility, and you need to find out and dig into the details and find out whether it be an MRI, a biopsy, and there's some other different types of options out there. But the main one being the biopsy. I chose the biopsies. We did the biopsies, and the biopsies came back positive. 50% of them did. So, and then we took it from there on July 9th when we got those results from the biopsies, and continued to move forward with decisions we needed to make based on how we wanted to treat the cancer at my age.
So right now it's the first week of September. This was literally 2 months ago. 2 months ago that you found out you had prostate cancer. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Wow. And you've got 4 kids. Remind me their ages again.
4 kids. The 2 boys are the youngest, 8 and 11, and the girls are 14 and 15.
Dude, that's like a ton of bricks just right to the face.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It definitely was. Being as young as I am, I say young, and 47 is young. I'm in the bottom 1% of the people that are diagnosed with prostate cancer in the 40s. And believe it or not, there's people in their 30s, and I even heard about someone in their 20s that was diagnosed.
Isn't the PSA test standard above age 50? Isn't that about like when people start testing?
Correct. Yes, they recommend you start at 50 if you don't have family history. If you have family history, they recommend you start at 40.
Wow. So if you would have started at 50, man, I think, who knows?
You don't know. Yep. You just don't know. And just because you don't have family history doesn't mean it can't start with you.
Wow.
That's one of the messages I'm trying to get out there. And I had an interesting situation yesterday with a guy that reached out that just turned 40 but has no family history, and he got his schedule, but his doctor didn't want to do it till he was 50. He's like, nope, I want it now. So.
Well, and let me pause this story for just a minute and make sure the listeners are on the same page with us. Because if you didn't hear Craig and Jen's interview several months ago, like, Craig is a beast of a man as far as physical fitness goes. He's too humble to say it, but the guy runs like a boss almost every single day. The guy lifts weights at least 3 to 4 times a week. His nutrition's on point. I wouldn't say he's the perfect eater, but neither would he. But he's not an alcoholic. He's not a smoker. Like, the dude is not doing anything that would be like, hey, I'm going to create cancer in my body. So, Craig, the fact that you were diagnosed with this, I mean, what went through your head at that time? I imagine there were a million thoughts.
That's a great question, Alex. I don't know. Maybe it's the mindset I'm in now and how I handle things. But was it a shock? Yes, it was a shock. I guess maybe not totally unexpected. I knew it was in the family. Didn't know that I would get it, but I was very, I don't know. I mean, it's a great question and how I, think about this, but it blows you away. And, every day was different, emotional days, good days. But it did. It made you think a lot, especially with the young kids and the young family and knowing that, hey, cancer, that cancer word, no matter what it is, whatever cancer it is, just hearing that word is a shock, I think, to your system. But I think I knew with my mindset that I had to handle it well, and I think I have, and I'm trying to very hard to stay positive and move forward in a great direction for improvement.
Well, and I've been following you almost creepily on Facebook through this whole thing. Partially, mind and heart and prayer on your family and you, but also just seeing how because guys, if you haven't connected with Craig, go connect with him and watch, because he literally goes Facebook Live, a week or two?
3 times a week. Yeah.
3 times a week or two into the diagnosis, he comes out and talks about it. And just the attitude that you had then is no different from the attitude that you have now, in the sense that you're like, I'm going to face this well. I'm going to face this forthrightly. We appreciate your support and prayers for our family. And you're just like walking into it. It's like a blazing forest, and you're like, well, that's where I got to go. So
let's go.
One foot in front of the other. So tell me about the mindset with regard to physical fitness. I'm just being real. I've never been in those shoes, but I know that as much as I've worked on myself, to get that kind of news at 47, I'd be like, what the heck? Like, really? Well, I haven't done anything to make cancer. Come on, man. So how did your relationship with physical fitness, if it did at all, how did it affect the way you thought about that? And how is that different now?
Did it affect me? I don't know that it did necessarily, but I think I've been being prepared for this, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually for years now. As I look back, and I think my mom's the one that brought that up to my wife. And you look back and you're like, wow, look at that, because I'll be honest, at 47, I said this in some of my videos, I'm in the best shape of my life, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I think it got me ready for this. And like you said, it's, here I am. I run 6-7 days a week. I lift, 3-4 days a week. And what did I do to bring cancer into my body? I didn't do anything. I'm living a healthy life and trying to do my best, but cancer doesn't care. And I think that's the point to get out there to, is it doesn't care. It doesn't discriminate against anybody. And why it came into my body when I'm in the best shape of my life, I don't know. And I'll probably never know that answer. And that's fine. I have to accept that. But dealing with that situation, I think, is the part mentally that you have to be ready to do. And it's not easy. I mean, I may say that it's easy, and I try to portray that it's real easy, but it's easy most of the time for me. I'm making it work and staying positive, but there's down times, let me tell you. There's a lot of emotional times, but.
Well, I bet nobody could blame you for feeling that way. And you just said something that it hit me deep. So I wanted to share it with you and the listeners. And in health and fitness, a lot of times we think, especially in some of the conversations I've had here with Defining Dadbod, that we're exercising and we're eating well in order to prevent problems. But you just said, and something that your mother said to your wife, like you're in the best shape of your life right now. It's almost like the question is, are we training to prevent things, or who knows what the hell we're training for? Who knows why we're going through this like warrior regimen or whatever? But the point is, it serves a purpose. Who knows why you need to be in the best shape of your life right in this moment? Who knows what kind of information you're going to get from the doctor? Who knows what's going to show up in your next checkup, whatever. But way better to be in the best shape of your life and deal with that than, oops, I wasn't doing everything I needed to do in order to be physically ready to take this on. So thanks for that, because that's a paradigm shift in my mind with regard to health and fitness, from prevention to almost preparation. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, definitely. You're welcome.
So, tell me about kind of the aftermath of the diagnosis. I saw some videos where you were still lifting weights. I saw some videos where you were talking about running. There had to be kind of a period of not as much activity, I'm sure. You mentioned giving up caffeine, which just breaks my coffee heart. So tell me about some of the changes that happened over that month between the diagnosis and then the surgery.
A lot of the running and lifting, I really didn't change. Because I knew I wanted to have my body in the best shape for recovery once that surgery came. So I'll be honest, I was doing an ab workout the morning of the surgery. I was like, I'm going the whole way. And I actually did, a running workout, with my boys at their cross country practice the night before. So that was my last running workout. So I didn't really, change that up a lot prior, after the diagnosis, prior to the surgery. Wanted to have my body in the best shape possible going into the surgery so the recovery could go smoother. Nutrition wise, I mean, like we said, I not that I was eating bad, the 80-20 rule, but I think I dropped it down probably to the 99-1 rule. I dropped caffeine out, dropped some of the red meats out, completely got rid of the gluten. And, we did a lot of research and had some, family and friends doing research for me that showed the certain things that I should be doing not to feed that cancer during that month before surgery. So I followed that, to a T, and I'm still doing that after surgery. So I've changed the nutrition a lot, and then the fitness is on hold for 6 weeks after surgery here. So just a 6-week break for the body and then get back at it slowly.
Are you enjoying the time off, or are you going a little stir crazy, brother? Because you're a guy who runs like 20 plus miles a week.
I'm doing better than I would have imagined, because I love my running and lifting, especially when it's cross country season and I'm running all over that course chasing my daughter and sons during the meets, and I got to walk. But I think I'm dealing with it real well, and I think it was probably time, and my body needed it. That was part of the thing that I needed. So it's a 6-week break, I think, that I needed for my body at this time. So I'm doing better than what I anticipated. Let's put it that way.
How long ago was the surgery?
August 23rd, so 2 weeks tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. And how do you feel like you're recovering? Do you feel like you're on the front end of this thing and you're doing a great job, or would you have hoped to recover faster?
No, I would say I'm definitely on the front end. Every day's getting better. Every day's different. There's so many things that people don't know about that I have to deal with and have to become better. But it's going, I guess, better than I anticipated just from the research and talking to people. Things are going well. I was off pain medication in 72 hours, up walking the day after. Just great things have been happening, better than what I anticipated. And it's going to take some time for some of the things to heal, but we're moving forward, and I think it's going really well so far.
Awesome, Craig. I appreciate that. I know this is a pretty deeply personal topic, so it's just crazy cool that you would come on and share your story with us, both for our personal awareness, but also to walk us through this. There's things in life that monumentally shift the way you think about things. And if you can talk to somebody who's on the other end of that, like you right now, you can help those of us who aren't on that end of it be prepared if that ever happens to us as well. So I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and experience here.
No, definitely.
Now let's be clear. We're cancer free, are we not? Right in this moment.
Yes. Once they take the prostate out, they come back from the lab with a full report showing that it's either contained or was not contained within the prostate, which then means it metastasized outside. Mine came back contained within the prostate. So at this point, I am considered cancer-free. We'll still have to do follow-ups with that PSA blood test. I'll do one here in 6 weeks just to see where that number comes back, and it should come back at an undetectable range, which means below 1. And then I think every 6 months after that, I'll do the PSA test just to see where it's at. And what you're doing is you're praying that, the doctor didn't leave any microscopic cells behind that were, cancerous still. And that's hard. That's hard for them. They don't even know that while they're in there. It's so difficult to understand that. But yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, tell me about that feeling right there. So 2 months ago, you're diagnosed with prostate cancer after having a higher PSA reading toward the beginning of summer. Then you have a surgery 2 weeks ago that, by all accounts, has removed the cancer from your body. So you lived with cancer, or at least knowledgeably, for a month, 2 months, month and a half.
Yep.
And now it's not there anymore. Like, what's going through your head, man? Like, what's different about you now than Craig 3 months ago?
Well, first off, Craig's not running, so that's definitely different.
That's true.
I mean, it's a great feeling to know that option was there to remove that from your body, because a lot of people with different cancers do not even have that option. I think that's the hard part to wrap your head around is with prostate cancer, it's one of the highest diagnosed in men. I think the second highest next to skin cancer, but it's a cancer that's 100% curable if found early, which we did with my PSA tests, and we were able to remove it. And most guys, once you get it removed and it's contained, you go on to live a healthy, normal life. There's no issues down the road. And my dad's a living fact. He's 18 years ago he had it, and he's 74 now, I believe, and doing great. So I think that's the thing, that the mindset you get is that, hey, I was able to get it out. I had that option, and some people don't. Like with all your different cancers, some of them, your lung, your skin, your lymph nodes, some of those you don't have that option to remove that cancer from your body. You have to fight it each and every day. So.
And what about with regard to your family? I mean, 4 kids probably didn't take this news very well. I wouldn't have, and I'm a grown man, and now you're on the other end of that. So where are they at right now? How are they dealing with this?
That's a great question. That's one that no one's really asked me in the last 2 months, but they've done amazing, to be honest with you. We sat them down, told them, about the PSA number first, explained all that in detail. And then once I found out on July 9th, we explained that. They had questions, but man, I'm telling you, they've done amazing. And I think that attributes to what I said earlier about myself. I've been being prepared for this for years. And I think we've helped prepare them for, something like this. And they've been amazing, just amazing. That's what I can say. And, Jen's been amazing also. She's my rock, supports me in everything. And it's a different journey for her, but because it's not her body that had the cancer, but it's tough on both of us, definitely. And, Jen's been amazing with it, and so have the kids. It's been good.
So what do you believe have been the 2 most important and profound pieces of this for you that you're going to remember and hold forever? And I would say that, maybe a year from now, this answer might be different. But right in this moment, having gone through this journey, this relatively quick journey, very blessed and thankful, although there's got to be some, 2 a.m. moments that weren't very quick or blessed. but what were the two biggest things that you're going to hold pretty close to yourself through this?
I think the biggest thing is how I handled it and reacted to it and portrayed myself and helped myself mentally get through it. I think that's one of the biggest things, because mentally something like this can tear you apart, I think. And I knew and understood that I couldn't let that happen. I've got 5 people to support yet, and I'm, the husband and father of this family, and I've got to keep moving forward at 47. I can't just shut down and stop and, hey, what's going on with me?
Well, from the outside looking in, you did that. How? Like, what's your secret sauce? What book were you reading, man?
I don't know. There's a secret sauce. And again, I go back to mindset, and I've been being prepared for this, and in the podcasts I've been listening to, the books I've been reading, the stuff I've been doing for years, I think has helped me to understand how you deal with situations like this that can be devastating to you, and moving forward in a positive direction. And that's always been my goal. And before I even found out, I've been, doing my videos for over a year now, and just trying to inspire and motivate people to live a healthy life. And I couldn't just shut down and stop. That's me. I guess it's built inside of me. It's intrinsic in me that's what I want to do, is continue to help people, even though I'm going through something myself. But
there's a very high probability that there's somebody listening right now who's in that dark night, who's having to make the decision to walk forward. Having been there yourself, is there anything that you would say to that guy or that gal to encourage them on their path right now?
I think the biggest thing is communication. Don't hold it within yourself. Don't just let it build up in you. Reach out to people, whether it's a stranger or someone else that, has gone through what you're going through, whatever it is you're going through. Reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. I talk to so many people, just via phone, that have been through this, who are going through this. And just the little bits of information that they helped me with, I think helped quite a bit. And I did that the first week. We went on vacation a week after I found out. So on vacation, I was sitting there talking to people, for an hour and a half, just people that had reached out to me, family members that had sent people to me that have been through things that, I was going through. And I think that's the biggest thing, is communication and talking to people. Don't hold it within yourself. Let it out and talk to people, whether it be your wife, friends, strangers, anybody that's gone through or going through what you're going through.
That's good, man. That's good. I really appreciate that. The last question I have for you about this particular journey, and then I'll let you have your last words. You definitely have a message you want to get out in the world, maybe a few. So would love to hear that. But the last question I have for you is, I've talked a little bit about health and fitness and exercise and nutrition, and how that's changed in the course of this process. How do you look at fitness differently now than you did at the beginning of this journey? We talked a little bit about the idea of preparation versus prevention, but those were my thoughts, not yours. So what do you look at health and fitness differently now than you did when you started this journey?
That's a great question, Alex. I don't know that I've thought about it a lot yet. I'm excited to get back going, because I had a great 2018 moving forward with my running and with my lifting, probably the best it's ever been. And I think maybe now I look at it a little more as not necessarily, like you said, getting myself ready, but just getting yourself to a point in life where you're healthy and you're nutritionally, you're doing well with your eating, and being ready to be the best person you can be health wise, because that's how you're going to get through these things. And there's nothing saying that another big obstacle is not going to jump in my way, or how I say it is another little hill pop up. But you've got to be ready for whatever's coming your way. And it could be something small, a job change, or a death in the family or something. But to have yourself ready, I think is a big part of it. And am I looking at my fitness a little different? I definitely will, as I move forward and plan things out for my running and lifting. But I think just understanding your body and listening to your body and knowing what your body truly needs from you to be at a healthy state each and every day as you continue to move forward in your journey.
So every night before bed, I read my son a bedtime story. And right now we're going through a very abridged version of the Bible. And I can't help but, while you're talking, I can't help but think of Noah building an ark. And I don't know if this analogy's ever been made, but I'm going to go for it. So health and fitness from the perspective of eating well and exercising appropriately and going to bed at a good time and not drinking too much coffee and stuff. You know, some people will look at you in your life and go like, why? For the six-pack abs, for the split biceps, like what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Is it even worth it? Like, cheesecake is a very important part of life, man. And I can't help but think of Noah in his backyard building this ark. And I don't know how this actually went down, but it's a great story at bedtime, let me tell you. Building this ark and his neighbors going, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's a giant boat in your backyard. Like, what are you doing? And Noah calmly turns to them, hammer in hand, or whatever the heck they used to beat nails into wood at the time. They weren't using nails. I don't know. They didn't have iron, whatever. The point is, he looks at them and says, guys, the flood's coming. I don't know when, but I need a boat. And it's kind of like that with regard to the body, or at least as I hear you talk about it, it's like, dude, flood's coming. It's not a question of if it's coming. It's just a question of when. And we're all going to go through something that requires us, and maybe a bunch of somethings that requires us to be ready. And it's not just ready in mind. It's not just ready in our family, and it's not just ready in spirit. It's also ready physically. The flood's coming. And so what I hear you saying is, I built this boat and I'm going to keep building this boat because who knows what else is out there. And I want to make sure, and I guess what's really interesting about Noah's story is his preparation also saved his family. And that's a big deal. Like the boat you build, the physical body that you can create for yourself and that you can hone for the floods that are coming can also affect your community in a positive way. And I see that happening in your story as well, as your family was bolstered by that, and your community too. There's just a crazy amount of people who have been inspired by the message that you've put out there and the message that you continue to put out there in your journey. So anyway, I'm calling Craig a modern day Noah with regard to physical health and fitness. Take that to Sunday school. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to share your message. You've got a couple messages I think that you're wanting to get out there. And one of those things is early detection. So tell me about what you hope listeners take away from your story and what you hope the actions are that they take for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest message I'm trying to get out there is awareness. And just talking with people through this short journey, you know, I mean, I'm in my 40s, so a lot of my friends are in their 40s, their 30s, 50s, is a lot of people don't know about prostate cancer. They know nothing about it. They haven't been tested with their blood for the PSA. They don't know someone that has had it. So to me, my mission, or my new mission, or adding to my mission now, is to help people be aware of how you find this early. Because like I said earlier, you find it early, it's 100% curable. If you don't, there's other complications that could come. And I want people to find it early. Be aware of what you need to look for, what you need to do, and how you need to make those decisions based on what you now know to make sure that you're putting yourself in the best position possible to, I guess, to make sure that you get rid of this cancer if you would ever, you know, come down with it at some point. And it's just amazing to me, and that really was amazing how many people didn't know anything about it. And I'll be honest, I mean, if you ask me, the only thing I knew about it is because my dad had it. Did I know the details? I sure did not. But I knew that I had to be tested every year starting at 40. And I did that. And that helped me out. And I think that put me in the position that I'm in today to find it early, because I did have one quadrant within that prostate that was getting close to the edge. And if I waited another year, who knows where I would be at, you know, today or with that cancer. So I think it's getting the awareness out there to everybody to understand what they need to do, what they can do, and what they have the right to do to find out what's going on with their body. It's your life, everybody. So you have to take charge of it and understand it and do the research to make sure you're doing what's right to live that healthy life and be there for your family each and every day.
That's a good message. And let me make sure that the listeners heard me, because the majority of our listeners are guys. Defining Dad Bod. I guess there's mom bods out there too, but Dad Bod is the primary catch-all for this particular conversation. And as a guy, and I'm speaking personally for myself, I know some listeners will resonate with this. I don't know where you stand on this, Craig, but I personally hate going to the doctor. Like, just legitimately, I don't like getting my checkup. I think there were too many doctor visits growing up with Ehlers-Danlos that they were like, oh, okay, well, it's just growing pains. Take 2 ibuprofen, and stay off of it. Like, oh, thanks, doc. That was $200, huh? But now, as we're getting past the growing pains age, so to speak, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I know there are a lot of guys who still have a bad taste in their mouth about the doctor. But this is a simple test. This is a simple thing to ask for if you're not 50 yet and they're not pushing it on you. It's a very simple thing to do. You can get it tested right along with your blood glucose and cholesterol that you get checked every year for your checkup. So again, Craig, it's a blood test for PSA, and guys can request that at the doctor. And you would recommend as early as 40, but you've even heard of guys who have struggled with prostate cancer in their 30s, and there's no reason we couldn't get that tested. Is that right?
Correct. Definitely. It's your choice. Don't let the doctors say, hey, well, we don't do that normally till you're 50 if you don't have family history, because you know what? Who came up with the normal? You don't know. Who says what normal is? Everybody is not normal. There's guys in their 30s getting it. There's guys in their 40s getting it. So it's your choice. You take control and request what you want.
Well, and yeah, if statistics are trustworthy here, as a man who takes good care of himself, your life expectancy is what, 85, Craig? And if you hadn't gotten this tested, it might have not been even close to that.
Correct. Exactly. So you've got to be, and I think that's the other message, is you've got to be aware of your body. Be aware of what's going on. And you brought up that doctor, people being scared. I've never felt that way, I guess. I've always been going, since the military, and you just got to get in there. They're not an enemy. They're going to help you no matter what. I know it's not easy for some people to go to the doctor or want to go to the doctor, but I'm telling you, it can save your life. It's something that you got to work with and work to get over if it's a problem for you. But get into the doctor, guys. That's the bottom line.
I love that, man. And my last question to you, and the last thing, I'll let you have the last word here. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this message? And what do you hope people take away from listening to what you've been through and how you've handled it and what your journey's been like thus far?
I think just getting yourself in the best shape of your life, like I said, and that's not lifting the weights and running. It's everything. It's a well-rounded person that's ready to take on whatever comes their way. And maybe nothing will come your way, and that's fine also. But getting yourself ready to mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually ready to move forward and take on whatever's coming your way, and being ready and doing the best that you can for your family to move forward.
I can't add anything to that, guys. It has been an awesome time hanging out with Craig and talking to him about his story. I hope you got a lot out of it. You can connect with Craig on Instagram at coach._Craig and on Facebook at Craig Nieset. Craig, thanks so much for joining us. And I am looking forward to following up with how this continues to move forward. And since it's Prostate Awareness Month, especially since it's Prostate Awareness Month, if you're a gentleman over 30, go ask your doctor to get this test done. It's a very simple PSA blood test, and it would be way better for you to know now than later on in your future. Thanks, Craig, for joining us, brother.
Oh, thank you so much, Alex, for having me.